Okay.
Will, my man, hope you are doing well. How you doing, dude?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. I'm excited to be here.
Nice. So, if you were to introduce yourself, your age, your current, job, education, you as a person, Will, how would you introduce yourself to
Well, my name
people
is
out there?
William Jones. I'm 18. I work part-time as a receptionist. Just got out of college. I like to play guitar, bass. I'm an avid rugby player, and really, one of my biggest achievements has been on this course. I'm really excited to be talking about it.
Mate, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's awesome. So, I suppose the place to start is let's talk about life and Will before the course. So, I
Okay.
know that when we first sort of touched upon a few things, it was sort of when you were, a lot younger, like 15. What was your life like with your training, nutrition, lifestyle, sleep, mindset? What was the reality for you, 3 and a bit months ago before taking action?
Yeah.
What was it like,
Well,
Will?
I was disorganized. I was very free flowing because I was working with school and doing multiple subjects. You sort of have to adapt constantly, and you can't get a rhythm unless you have already got the knowledge and
Yeah.
experience to plan it out. And I didn't have that at the time. I was sort of in the dark, if you will. My sleep schedule was all messed up, and my nutrition, I didn't even know where to start. But after I saw you and I spoke to you, I had that initial conversation. It was enlightening, and then I thought, really, I need to take the leap. It's so important. You need to commit to yourself because it's an investment, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
I
really
think
is.
I think going back to that though, Will, what was the effect of that disorganization and lack of knowledge? And you're a really young lad, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you're an exception to the rule, but you're someone that I knew that I could help, and you were. I always talk about, Will, don't I? The fact that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago or
Yeah.
right now, and we had the conversation, and you said I want to plant the tree now because I want to look back when I'm 50, 60, 70 and go, I made all the right decisions along the way and I put myself in the best position. But having not done that, so before the course, what were the effects of, poor nutrition, bad training, bad sleep routine on you, Will? What was the negatives that this was having with mental and physical ability? What was the
Yeah.
problems that you were facing?
Well, absolutely. You're right. It's not just physical. It's very mental as well. And I'd find there's periods of time, particularly over the summer holidays from school, you get into something. You go, maybe you start more training more. You get into training, you get really excited, you commit to it, and then you crash because you don't have the discipline and you don't have the knowledge to actually commit and make the significant improvements. I'd find myself making improvements and then falling right back again.
Yeah.
It's almost like a rebound, and you constantly rebound back and forth. It's so poor on your mental health. You don't even know how to fix yourself. You need like a support system.
I think what happens, and I remember you telling me you'd done this, that lads find random workouts on Instagram and
Yeah,
they do that every day, for a week, or they do it every day for 4 weeks. And actually, like you, I remember you saying to me, you never really got anywhere, and it did, dampen your confidence, really, didn't it? That was a big
yeah.
thing I think you mentioned to me. But could you elaborate on that a bit? Like, how was it? What was the negative? What was the bad part of all of this, really?
Oh yeah, it's so tricky because then you feel like, okay, I must be making improvements now. You go and check, and you're the same point you were weeks ago, and you think it's so demoralizing. And I remember a big thing for me was leg strength. I really wanted to develop it. I just couldn't progress. You just make mistakes because you don't know. You don't have someone to speak to. It's not personalized. There's all these cookie cutter programs, and it just doesn't work the same because it's not relevant to you and what you require.
I think a lot of the time I talk to you lads about it as well. Is like, if you're doing something wrong, you don't actually know. Like,
Yeah,
if you're not making progress in a certain area, it's very hard for you to self-diagnose that, because what
absolutely.
happens is you just carry on doing the same thing, like you said about the Instagram workouts, or the same sort of shit over and over again. And because you don't know that you're not making progress, so you don't know how to change, and like you say, you haven't got someone to talk to, it's really difficult. And I reached out to you, Will, because I do with a lot of lads who follow my page, because I want to help as many people as I can, or as many blokes as I can. And we had a bit of a conversation, a bit of a back and forth, and we went through these problems, and I figured out that I could help you. And then we booked a call, and we really, really, like you said, it was
Yeah,
quite enlightening, wasn't it? I think a lot of lads actually get a realization. I'm not saying I'm harsh, but I just don't bullshit. I'll talk the facts and I go through,
yeah,
exactly what the scenario is. And, even like, for a young lad, taking action to book in that type of call and really go through, audit of your life at a very young age and where you're heading. What was that like, Will? What did it feel like when we went through that, and we actually looked at everything that was going on and, the big aspirations that you've got really that you wanted to achieve? What was that like, buddy?
Well, I'll tell you, Alex, it was like a weight off my chest. It was great.
Oh,
I
nice.
remember I was actually just starting. I think I was just starting my exams at that point, and it gave me such a boost of confidence. Just for first conversation, because I was like, I've committed to something. After we booked it and we had the call, and I've committed to it, I was like, okay, I've got something to look forward to after these exams are over. I
Yeah.
can really, really prepare myself mentally. And I remember we started and I was actually doing the burpee challenge within the
Yes.
first few weeks. And it was just so good to be part of a community already. Um, it was amazing. I remember
Yeah.
sitting my exams, I felt better. I really did.
I mean, like you like you say, you literally joined and we had like a couple of week period before you kicked off properly. But like you say, straight
Yeah.
into the community, straight into the support. Like, okay, I imagine there's a lot of lads who are really A, skeptical about what we do, but B, they're a little bit
Yeah.
nervous about, taking action to invest in themselves. You're a really young guy, like 18, and it was a big step for you to take on something like this. But like you've mentioned, Will, cookie cutter programs versus what we do. When you actually took action and you unveiled all this, where did you see the difference? Where was the sudden realization of what you'd signed up to? Like, what was the feel when you first took action, Will?
Well, it felt like it was all planned for me. I felt like I had a method to follow and develop myself as I progressed my knowledge, because you're not completely just thrown in there like, okay, you're on your own.
Yeah,
Like a lot of these programs are. uh, you're able to speak to you and get what you need out of a program in terms of your physical preparation, your training, and then your education too, because that's huge.
yeah,
Because after this program, like you said, after this program, you need to be able to help yourself too.
yeah.
You're preparing us with life skills that I can use, and it was so amazing because I was able to follow the workouts and speak to you if I had any problems, get them sorted out. And whilst I'm developing in my physical aspects, I'm also developing my mental and educational my knowledge. Really,
I think
it
I
was so
think a
it was
lot of
amazing.
lads, like you said there, Will, like a lot of lads expect it to just be a training and diet plan, and anyone who knows watched my content for a while knows that that's really not what I'm about. And I
Yeah,
think that like you said there, having that structured plan to follow, the education around fucking everything. Like you've been at the
yeah,
Katie Parrott lectures, Becca's lectures, you've been at some of the bigger guys, the proper, like the guys from the Battle 360 team and that sort of stuff. Like
yeah.
what do you think about the program? So before we talk about the results you've managed to get, what do you think about what we deliver versus, like you say, some diet plan, like just here you go, good luck. Like,
Yeah.
what would you say, if you were talking to yourself and you were trying to help yourself to understand what you've just taken action to get involved in, what would you say about how immersive everything is?
Well, first, I'd look at the course itself. You can't find something like this anywhere else. It's like an all-in-one package where you have everything you need and more. You're learning new things all the time, and it's amazing because you're so well set up. It's a great foundational platform
Yeah,
to build yourself from. And then on top of that, I'd look at, okay, well, if I didn't commit to this program, where am I going to end up? And what would
yeah,
I actually do? Because part of it is an experience. If you've never been on a coaching course before, it's a life experience. You only get one life. So do you really want to go through to never have been on something like this? Because
mate.
what's the point in living if you don't try things? And
Yeah.
this is something that's well worth trying because it's not just a one and done. It's life skills. It's huge.
And I talk about quite often, you beat the mark because there's a lot of lads that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they're in the program. I'm not saying there's a problem with that, but what happens is I think that as blokes, we don't take action to really invest in ourselves. And I obviously have done this before, so I completely relate to lads doing this where we spend like 20 quid or 30 quid on a cheap diet plan and training program and expect that to solve a problem. And then actually it's, well, you don't, there's no coaching, there's no actual process to help you along the way. And I think that I've obviously got my own coaches and I talk to your lads about that all the time, that I've got people who help me. And I think that, like you said there, Will, that's a really key point, is that instead of you buying 40 diet plans across the next 20
Yeah.
years that don't really work for you and all this shit that people pump out, you actually decided, look, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to commit to this and really invest in it. And, having gone through the course and having gone through, the plan, education, accountability, community support, and everything that we structure to help you guys win, where's your life now? So, compared to that disorganized, not sleeping, not training, not doing the right nutrition, where would you say your point is right now, Will, once you've gone through this 90 days? Let's start with physical ability. Where's your physical ability now, bud?
Oh, it's so much better. I remember I came into this program and I was very concerned about my legs because I've had knee injuries in the past because I played rugby, and I always thought, okay, I'm a bit hesitant to do these leg workouts. I was always a bit okay, yeah, I don't want to get injured. But
Yeah.
after going through and committing to it, it's 3 months. That's more than enough time to iron out any issues, and I have. I'm now hitting new PRs all the time. I'm constantly improving my strength, and I feel more stable. That stability is so important. We do these weighted runs with vests, and I could not have done that at the start of the course.
Yeah.
The improvements is incredible. And on top of that, my full body strength. I remember we did those challenges, and the challenges are pushing yourself because the competition is there. I remember I hit something like 7, nearly 8 minutes, I think,
Yeah.
on a plank.
On the planks,
And
yeah.
I would never have done that if I wasn't in the course. It really showed that my core strength is there. And I was able to develop it even more with the course.
Mate,
PRs everywhere, I'd say.
I think
Yeah.
like what would you say the contributing factor, from the course has been to that? So what particular part of the course have you gone, well, that's really helped me to actually achieve it? Is it the education? Is it the plan? What's really got you to this physical ability?
Well, everything's really important, but it's the accountability is huge. The support system is there to keep you accountable and keep you committed, because a lot of people, when you're on your own, you're able to put things off and just say, look, let's do it next week. I'll do it tomorrow. And it doesn't work like that, because once you get to tomorrow, it's the same old story. But when you've got this accountability structure, you're going to do it, and you're doing it for 3 months. So you're going to get into a habit and a routine where it's like, okay, I'm doing this and this is part of my life. And you can just keep improving from there. Like I say, it's PRs all the time. I remember bench press. I was struggling to get past, I think it was 50 kg for reps. I was really struggling to get past it because like I said, I'd build myself up and I'd rebound because I'd focus on something else. Maybe school was, really demanding attention.
Yeah.
But here I was able to break through that. And now I'm repping out 60 kg, 70 kg, and it's great. I wouldn't have imagined it.
I always talk about the tree and cutting down the tree, right? And I talk about it's like consistency. So if you say, oh, I'm going to cut this tree down, right, and I'm gonna hit it once a day. I'm going to hit it once a day, but I'm going to hit it as hard as I can once a day for the next 3 months. You're going to really be likely to knock that tree over in those 3 months. Whereas if you go, oh, I might hit it tomorrow, likely, maybe, if I feel like it, there's a likelihood that the tree's never going to come down. And I think it's the same. Like, you need to consistently, like I always say to you lads, is, even if you're only hitting 3 workouts a week, because we've had weeks like that, Will, haven't we? Me and you have gone back and forth, and I've gone, look, find the workouts, find what you can do, because you've had busy weeks at school, you've had busy weeks with college, with work, with things pulling you in different directions, and especially at the start. And I always say, look, let's see what we can do. If we can find what we can do, we keep hitting that tree. Eventually the fitness, like you've gone, has gone through the roof. Looking at that mentally, you talked a little bit about your confidence was quite down, and there was a big impact on you at the start mentally. What's been the big upgrade mentally for, your education, but also your mental ability? What's been the upgrade for that, Will?
Well, I think you develop a bit of maturity because, like you said, you're a bit of a no-nonsense guy and you tell it how it is, which is important because you need that sort of criticism sometimes to show you, look, this is how we can be. We know we can be better. We know that we can do this. And eventually you make it to that point and it feels so good. It's so relieving to know I've done this and I'm not going to stop here. You're not going to stop. You're going to keep going. And the mental side of that, your confidence it just goes right up when you start hitting these PRs and you start making your progress. It's like a ball, you get the ball rolling. You just keep all the momentum's building and you just don't stop. And it's all about your confidence and your mindset. It's an elite mindset, like develop your warrior mindset.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've got two sides. Right, I'll be honest with you. I think I've got two sides to me personally about how I coach you lads, and that's the hand on your back to console you, or hand on the back to push you.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, like lads will be watching this, and I fully understand when you're completely fucked and the last thing you need is some idiot saying, "Come on, let's fucking go." You know, there's some times where I've had chats with you, Will, haven't I, where we've just really broken it down really calmly, really simply, and looked at the problem really logically and just gone, what do we need to do to solve it? And there's other times where I've gone, let's fucking go, let's have it, because I know that's what you need. And I think that, there's painting the future and your vision of where you're going to go is really important, but at the same time, it's understanding the problems along the way. And I think that's a huge thing. That's how I can help you lads mentally, I think physically, because I always tell you, Will, like, I talked about my 10-year story, didn't I? I was a fucking massively underconfident bloke when I was younger. I think the biggest thing I've achieved, like I say, was passing out the military, passing out the Marines. And I think that it does give you a lot of skills to really impart on others. But there was a point, I think, after where there's a lot of things that go on, but sometimes you don't need a slap, you need a push, but sometimes you need like you say, the community and the other lads who understand your problem as well. I think that's a big thing. Is it's almost like come on, let's make this happen, not come on, let's fucking go. I think that's a big thing. But I think the last point is the biggest one for me, Will, and genuinely, you can ask Becca. I was screaming my heart out when you told me this. When we look at your life right now, Will, and the trajectory that you're now on with everything you've been able to achieve, what's been the biggest win with your life, having signed up to this program, committed? What's been the outcome for your life now, Will?
Wow. Well, there's so much going on in my life. It's huge. I think the most recent, so very recently, as we're filming this, there's results day, and I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. And I think part of it is actually down to the fact I signed up to your course as I was doing my exams. I think that is motivation for me. It's huge motivation. I've come out with 3 A stars and 2 scholarships from Lancaster University, eligible for more scholarships as part of the Army Officer Scholarship Scheme.
Just on that, Will, because I remember looking at this and being like, fuck, how much, like monetarily wise, are those scholarships worth? Just so anyone who's watching this knows.
They're worth a lot. So I'm going to be studying engineering. I'm currently being awarded the standard bursary, but I'm in a very good position to apply for multiple others. The actual DSUS scholarship is worth 42,000, so that's all your tuition and a little bit more, and that's an incredible amount of money, especially for university, because the debt that you're relieving by doing that is incredible. And the fact I'm in such a good position to apply for it now I've already secured one of the scholarships as part of the Army Officer Scholarship Scheme. The fact I'm able to apply for this now, and I'm in such a good position to do so, especially with my increased mindset now and my increased skills. I've spoken to people, and I'm really excited for the future, and I think it's because of the course.
I think like, would you attribute that achievement of 3 A stars, a scholarship, physically and mentally in the best place ever? Do you think do you think this course has changed your life, Will?
Yeah, absolutely.
And B, do you attribute those achievements? Do you think without this course that would be a reality? Do you think you could have done that?
No, I don't think, especially my physical side of it, absolutely not. The motivation to actually get through my A-levels, that's 18 hours of exams. If my motivation wasn't there from actually signing up to this course, I'm not sure if I would have put in the hard hours of revision, the long time it took me to prepare. I don't know if I would have done that, because I would have been thinking, well, what is there after this, and now my eyes are opened. I've got a clear vision. We've got such clarity, and I've got such focus now on building the future. It's huge. It's huge. All these achievements I'll definitely attribute to being on this course.
It is mad. Like, it is mad for me. Like, when you like the situation we talked through when you were first in, when I first met you, versus now is so different. And like you say, your body's physically, you're robust now. Mentally, you're in a very strong and confident place, and you've just been awarded basically the rest of your future. Like, that's a massive opportunity, and that's something that that's a life-changing sum of money to be awarded for your education, which is the most important thing in the world. And you know, I really talk about this with a lot of guys, and you know, I really get quite clear on this. Like this is not a joke for me, and you know that. Like this is something where I say to you, like, and I talk to you lads about it all the time. Like you'll go on now, and you'll inspire blokes. Like you'll go on, Will, and there might be 5 blokes who join the program, but that's not the biggest deal. The biggest deal is that there might be 30, 50, 100 people that along the way you help because of, you know, your education that you go on when you join the military, all these things that you do, and you help those lads to develop and change their life. Now, those other 100 lads might help another 100 people and another 100 people. And before you know it, the statistics that we see on the news nowadays about men having that many problems and, you know, things happening, I think that number will start to drop as long as we keep aggressively attacking this as a group. And that, you know about that. I talk to her about it all the time. Like that's the biggest thing for me, is that when you lads inspire each other internally inside the group, but you also inspire people outside the group, and they look up and they go, I can do that. I can achieve that. It is possible. I just need to focus and make it happen. And like you say, put in the hard yards and just not fucking give up. You will get there. And I think that was a huge thing for me as a kid. Like, looking at all these other people and going, they've achieved that. Why can't I? You know, they've done that. Why can't I? Even if that English teacher says you'll never make anything out of you. And mate, it's been unreal to see you be able to achieve that. But, you know, touching upon that subject, Will, if there's a lad out there who's A, your age, quite young, or B, maybe 20, 30 years ahead of you, and they're not confident and they just can't get themselves out that slump, what would you say to them if they were looking at joining this course? What would you say to them about what you've been through? Like, what would you say, Will?
Well, I'd say it's life-changing. And as I've said before, you've got one life. And the earlier you start, the sooner you see the results. You need to think about this. When you start sooner, you're going to be making more progress. And think about the compounding over a long period of time, the compounding results. It's going to be incredible. You can really transform yourself. And why would you wait to do this? If you wait, you've got less time. Start now when you have the time. Start now when you realize that you have an interest in this and that you need to develop yourself. Start now, because then you can start aggressively attacking that vision, that focus, you know, for your future. You know, you need to do it. You can't let this slip. You just can't.
Yeah, mate, that's unreal. It's going to be awesome to see in the next 5 years where you go, Will. Like, that's going to be unreal, mate. But lads, anyone watching this back, anyone looking at this and they're interested in the program, I always say this, and we don't fuck about in here. Like, you know, I'll fully disclose exactly what we do to anyone who wants to join. If you want to speak to Will, speak to Will. If you want to speak to anybody that's ever been in any of my programs in the last 12 months, speak to them, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the people you're working alongside. So, you know, that's going to be a big thing. But Will, you're a legend, my man. I'm going to stop the recording there. Absolute hero. As I say, anyone, you know, mate, it's unreal. Like, it is unreal. Lads, I say, message Will, message myself. We'll have a conversation. We'll see what you want to do.